Raider Nation, stand up. Please stand up. Cover 3D Raider podcast. The best part of your week, Raider Nation, starts right now. It starts right now, right? I'm Dwayne Douglas here with Sean Oahu Raider and Monster Mash Ken, California, Hawaii, Jersey. Like, I mean, we're bringing the whole party together. No question about it, right?
Yeah, they're in our pathway, man.
Exactly.
It's called Raider Nation for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's not called Raider Block. It's called Raider Nation. The text line is 858-429-9465. Please hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those things, and also on YouTube. I want to thank Eddie Diaz 661 Bourbon Raider.
Oh yeah.
Dr. JMD NC Raider 19 for listening to the Cover 3D Raider podcast. Oh. And shout out to folks who are listening in San Jose, California, Marlborough, New Jersey, Flatbush, New York, Dallas, and San Antonio, and Butte, Montana representing. I see you, Butte. I see you, Butte. I see you, cousin. I see you out there. All right, let's get to work. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the horrible Super Bowl that we had to watch because it's probably one of our worst. Last 2 years in a row have been Raider Nation's like nightmare Super Bowls. So 10 minutes. Let's start from right now. Thoughts on a Super Bowl? The Chiefs got destroyed by the Buccaneers.
You know, one positive that you got to just take into account here, we have to admit that Tom Brady is one of the best players ever to play the game. Yeah. And when our kids grow up and we could talk about it, that'll be kind of cool because he's just the man. And I'm watching like the celebration videos, and I'm not even mad about it. I'm not even mad. Like people might throw fits, like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, you know what? He deserves it, man. He can do whatever he wants. He's like the king of football right now, and it's a cool story. I'm happy for that team. I'm happy for Mickens, an ex-Raider on that team, and it makes me happy to see them humble the Kansas City Chiefs because they just look like crap, and they had Devin White just. I would trade Derek Carr for Devin White. Give me Devin White. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that later on. But no, I enjoyed it. I watched a little bit of the game. The halftime show I liked it. I didn't
have a problem with it. Everybody else had a problem with it, but I thought it was fine. He has some hits. The Weeknd does have hits. You gotta admit that. Yeah, he does have hits.
What'd you think, Sean?
No, yeah, the halftime show. So I like The Weeknd. I think his music is good to listen to, and he does have hits. Something about the performance and everything didn't mesh.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't it's just like some of those people they plug and play. It's just not. It's hard.
There were no ukuleles in the background for
it. Hey, it's hard to beat Bruno Mars at halftime. We're just gonna have to admit. But no. Regardless, yeah.
Or Prince. Prince was amazing.
Prince. Yeah, there's been some good ones. But I think what was cool about the game was just seeing how Tampa Bay was a team like we've been the last 2 years. They were 7-5, and everyone was like, well, it just isn't going to work out perfectly. They got blown out by the Saints somewhere in that towards that end of that portion of the record, and no one really thought, and they just caught fire. They never lost again. They relied on a young, fast defense with just multiple players on that front seven that could get after the quarterback. They defended well on the back end. They did very well in drafting Antoine Winfield Jr., who just looks like a complete star. So they invested in some of their weaknesses, and one of them was quarterback and not turning the ball over from the quarterback position. They had Jameis Winston. They had a top 3 offense last year. They scored a lot, but they gave up the ball more than any other team in the history of the league. Tom came in. He could play it safe. And over time, he built up with Mike Evans. Over time, he built up with Scotty Miller. Over time, he built up with Godwin and Gronk, and all the key players started to connect. So for me, it was like good to watch, thinking like, hey, we've been a team that's fallen apart twice the last 2 years, the end of the season. Most of that has been on the back of the defense. So if we can plug some pieces in, anybody can get hot in this league. And they just absolutely trashed the Chiefs. They couldn't do anything. Mahomes is running for his life. So not the most fun Super Bowl to watch. It was a blowout, but as far as from a football perspective, just masterful in what Tampa Bay created in one offseason.
I felt like this was one where I think Andy might have, understandably so, his mind might not have been all there. Yep. Because you don't have an offensive line. your guys are hurt, all that things like that. The first thing you're going to do is run the football, short passes, get rid of the football quickly, some bubble screen, something quick to get out of. Everything was a 7-step drop. Daryl LaMonica style, but without Gene Upshaw and without Art Shell, without a great offensive line. That's hard to deal with. So I don't give them a pass for that. You get to the Super Bowl, like you got to perform, and they could have made, even with all that being said, they could have still made that game somewhat competitive. But I mean, they did not. They left a lot to desire, especially for Mahomes, who was running for his life, and running for his life because of the play calling. I mean, you have to protect your quarterback when you're not, like, you can. I'm not saying never go deep, but you have to get some completions, keep that defense on the field for long periods of time, and then you might see a mistake. If you let that team just sit in that defense the whole time, and basically their defensive line was in Tampa Bay. And when you watch the all 22, their safeties were in Miami. Like they were not going to allow Tyreek Hill to go deep. It wasn't happening in this game. I know he had 200 yards last time, but that junk wasn't happening this week. So I give Todd Bowles credit. I give a guy who might not get much credit. I do throughout these playoffs, but I give Brian Leftwich. I think that, I mean, if Josh McDaniels gets a lot of credit for the success of Charlie Weiss, O'Brien, who got fired from Houston. I mean, those guys get a lot of credit when they work with Brady. I think he should get some credit too. So,
no, that's great. That's a great shout out, because we don't think about that. Like, not just the head coach position, but those other coordinators, the schemes that they put together. And we've seen firsthand what Kansas City can do if they get hot.
Yes.
And they just applied pressure from all ends. And something that we stress about, what we need is young talent versus leadership, and Ndamukong Suh, just
Vita Vea.
I mean,
Jason Pierre-Paul. God.
Yeah.
Did you see what Vita Vea did to the tackle when they put him on defensive end? He just walked the tackle back like it was a waltz.
Like a bag in summer camp. You just push it.
Oh my God. It was bad. I was crying. I was actually crying about it. It was pretty funny. But I think the thing that really stood out is, how do you sit there and grind film? And this is not a knock on Clelin Ferrell, but how do you grind film for all the time? He gets there at 3:00 in the morning. It doesn't even see his wife probably in the morning time.
Nope.
How do you watch Devin White play and watch Clelin Ferrell play and just not jump on 45 for Tampa Bay? That's tough. It's tough. Hurt my heart to watch that kid play. Like, he's good.
A 4.4, like literally almost a 4.4. He's a running back speed. And
yes.
The IQ, the sure tackling, the pass, like everything was there at LSU. And LSU, the pedigree of defensive players they put in the NFL is, if not with Alabama, right there. I mean, LSU,
he has the Sean Oahu Raider shit talking too. He has a little shit talk to him. Have you heard him talk? He talks.
Yeah.
He talks.
And that's great.
I love it. He can play. He should. He can play.
He lets people know when he hits him.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I love that.
Isn't that a little bit more refreshing at some point to have that player than just the as we've talked about so much with the players Mayock and Gudner brought in, like the blue collar, the blue collar guys. Like, I get it, but you kind of want someone who brings some swag. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Like Tyrann Mathieu, he brings a lot of vocal energy, and he got played in the Super Bowl. But overall, he can't get played. But he's been, and to his credit, at times he's been a good vocal leader for that Kansas City defense. Getting in people's heads after an incompletion. Those things kind of add up. Hopefully Abram can do that for us. But yeah, Devin White, I mean, come on now. Like the biggest consideration to me is that no matter what, Devin White was going top 10, maybe 12th the least for the linebacker position that year. Clelin Ferrell was still back into the first round for most projections. So he still was going to be there. So there wasn't a need to jump
You
the gun.
could have taken both if you really wanted to.
You
if
could have had
yeah,
Devin White and Cleveland Farrell, and now you'd be sitting here with a better linebacker. I mean, it's hard to look at, of course, from our perspective, because the draft has been something that, Mayock got a lot of picks, and 5 of them, and we're just kind of questionable watching, but incredible player.
We got it. We can't forget Paul Gunther's coaching style either, though, because I mean, we could have taken Devin White, and Devin White
had one?
just been something else. I mean,
did he have one? He was horrible, dude. You know what? You know what's crazy about it?
Will he get a job?
Actually, he got a job.
Coach?
He actually got a job, because see, what happens in the NFL is it's so convoluted with like ridiculousness that when they don't have a job, they just name you a senior assistant. So you saw that with the Vikings.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Yeah. So like he's not good enough to coach on the team. They have a spot. Oh, you're my buddy, so I'll make up a job for you. Must be nice. Must be nice.
Good for him.
Must be nice.
Up there. Yeah.
Must be nice.
He'll be ice fishing, in the offseason. Good for him.
Yes, he probably will be. He's horrible. The Raiders did make news today, so we'll jump on that first. Tyrell Williams, it will most likely not be a Las Vegas Raider. He just is always hurt. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And I think the thing I didn't like about him as a player is that I thought when I saw that frame, I thought we were getting a jump ball specialist. And he really wasn't that guy. You remember Brandon Jacobs from the Giants back in the day?
Yes, absolutely.
He was a big back, but he ran like a scat back. He didn't put his shoulder down. He wasn't like the Otis Anderson kind of back. Ken, what are your thoughts about the Raiders moving on from him? Makes sense. He thinks he's going to get money somewhere else. My only problem with that concept is it's going to be an incentive-laden deal because he doesn't play a lot.
No.
Yeah, we didn't see him this season. We saw him, last season, and he made some plays for us. But Derek Carr had a pretty decent season without him. Granted that Nelly stepped up to the plate, so I don't think it's going to be a miss for us. And you can kind of say the same thing about Trent Brown. He played a couple games, still performed well. So those big salaries, if they come off, that helps. And I like the guy. I thought he played well, but it's one of those things that we're gonna forget about it once the season starts. So I don't think it's a huge deal. I wish him the best of luck, and hopefully, he does find a landing spot somewhere that's not in the AFC West. But it is what it is, man.
And Sean, real quick before you jump in, I just want to just give his cap number. He was making 11.6. So that's off the books, and then he also his dead cap is $1 million. So they free up some money by getting rid of him.
Yeah, and it kind of had to happen. We can't forget that who was Tyrell Williams signed after in free agency? We traded for Antonio Brown.
Exactly.
They even admitted, Mayock and them admitted, they weren't foreseeing Tyrell Williams as an entertaining. They weren't seeing that, and they realized, we can have a wide receiver 2 to complement Antonio Brown. So this wasn't a player that they were taking to be the wide receiver 1, which he isn't. He has some length and he's a long strider. Kind of reminds me of Andre Holmes, who also had special teams value a few years ago. But you didn't. He
cost a lot less, though.
You took it right from my mouth. But cost, you paid him for that. Just like some other teams. Scantling, you'll get Scantling on the Green Bay Packers. He's fast. He's got long strides, but he's essentially a guy that some games is going to get 148 and 3 catches, and he may not break 50 yards for 4 straight games. Maybe you have something that with Tyrell, but with the way everything is right now, with that type of number and the type of wide receivers that are out there in the market, even if it's a wash, I'd rather give that exact money to Nelson Aguilar, because at least he's proven that he's going to be a downfield emphasis for Derek Carr and open things up for Ruggs, for Edwards, for Renfro, for Walford. So I'm cool with that. If people say, you're overpaying for Nelson Aguilar, I will say absolutely not. We are still looking at wide receiver 1, 3 years in the rebuild of Gruden and whatever he's doing with trading players around. So Nelson's proven, and if he buys into the organizational elements, then give him Tyrell Williams money. I ain't going to complain about it. It's not my money. But he had to go.
Good point.
He had to go. Trent is gonna have to go. We know our defense is terrible, so they're gonna have to give up things to have cap open up to sign people. So Tyrell was, I think, pretty obvious. I think about 80% of the fans understood that his time was coming.
I thought the only chance he had to come back would be if it was incentive-lated like deal where like, hey, we're changing your whole contract. If you play these games, if you get touchdowns, all that stuff like that, then I would say, okay, yeah, you could come back. But the way it is now, there's no way you can do it. There's no way you can do it.
He'll get a job. He'll get a good.
Somewhere. He gets somewhere. So I'm going to try
maybe he goes to Chicago if they lose Allen Robinson. That could be a good replacement for Chicago.
Yeah, well, quarterbacks seem to be.
They need a quarterback. Yeah.
Quarterbacks seem to be going all over the place. So let's go here. So I have a tweet that our good friend Ken put out. And then not put out, but he put in our chat. So Ken, can you read that for us, and then we'll just go talk about it, and we'll talk about it after.
You got it. This is from Raider War Report. Derek Carr, Matt Ryan, Alex Smith, and Kirk Cousins are the same quarterback. They are all progress stoppers, just good enough so you can't blame it all on them, and also good enough to make you pass on better quarterbacks. Not good enough to get you over the hump. And I agreed that it was a solid take because they're not horrible quarterbacks, but they're not cream of the crop.
Okay, cool. Sean, did you have anything you wanted to?
So I knew going into this we were going to talk about it. To me, I don't see anything wrong with that. Kirk Cousins already been traded from one organization to another. Alex Smith has been traded for a better player behind him. He's a journeyman. Matt Ryan had one big year in 2016. He's been stable. He's been solid, much as Derek Carr. I don't think this is really a negative thing. I think it's really just saying, I think another name you could throw in here would be Jared Goff. I mean, they eventually had to move on from him. He was solid. He was stable. He just wasn't the guy. They have a good defense in place. They got to make a move. So what I did is I looked at this. I looked at all these quarterbacks, including Derek Carr, and I looked at them statistically, what they've done throughout their careers. Derek Carr has the shortest career of all these players. Carr is about third and fourth in every major category that you want to compare him to, with completion percentage. Obviously wins, Derek's at the bottom. He's no playoff experience. He has interception percentage. Carr is the best of these guys, but he's also led the league in fumbles as into the league. I mean, everything you look at here, yards attempt, Carr is 0.1 away from Alex Smith. So yeah, people don't want to admit. I mean, Alex Smith is 6.9 yard attempt in his career. Matt Ryan is Derek Carr is 7.0. So like, and the other guys, Cousins and Ryan, are higher than Carr. So to me, it's like, you're putting him somewhere in there. I don't think it's a terrible negative. I just don't think it's like that far off either. I just think like Carr is what he is. We know what we have. The Raiders organization is very different than what these guys have been through. Just got to improve the defense, right? If you really want to see what you get out of the haul. But I think it's pretty accurate, in my opinion.
When I first saw it, I got a little annoyed with it, but I will say my piece on it is more along the lines of, I think it's kind of, if you look at the 32 teams, I think it's pretty easy just to pick out, names out of this group and then just say they can't do it. I would say that as far as like not getting over the hump, like you want to have flash here and there, then you could see those things. But at the end of the day, it takes an entire organization to win a championship. Oh, yeah. It just does, from the top to bottom. And I know that, like, if you say anything positive or anything like, hey, systems changing and all this stuff like that, if you say all these things like with Matt Ryan or Alex Smith or Kirk Cousins, if you say anything like that and you don't, go with the narrative that some people have, then you're a stan or whatever. It's not like, I don't know what like, it was coaching incompetence that got him hurt in 2016 anyway. Like we all remember the shot of him getting hurt. And what is the first thing when they flash over to Mark Davis? What the first thing he said? Why are we not running the ball? Like the first thing he said. The first thing he said.
It could also, if you're going back there, why didn't they take him out of the game? I mean, we had the game pretty much won.
Shouldn't even be in there.
Yeah, shouldn't have been in there.
Shouldn't have been in there. But he's so scared. Del Rio was so scared of Andrew Luck scoring 4 touchdowns in the last 6 minutes of a game where you actually had the ball. And I mean, onside, I mean, it's just a lot of coaching incompetence, like leadership incompetence. Like everything is just like all these teams have shown, like even Matt Ryan. How would we look at Matt Ryan if his coaching staff and Kyle Shanahan wasn't incompetent in that game? I mean, they could have won. That game was after the Julio Jones amazing catch on the left side with the 2 feet in. Like that game should have been over. That was the first time I ever seen Belichick really show a whole lot of emotion on the sidelines because he knew that the game was over. And you still gave him a second chance in that game because of incompetence. So I don't, like I said, I don't really. I think you can have team players flash. I mean, Kirk Cousins has flashed. He's played in a AFC Championship game. Alex Smith has played. I mean, Alex Smith. Look at Alex Smith. We talk about game manager, all this stuff like that. He's in a championship game against the Giants. Yep. They're gonna win the game. The kid muffs the punt. Yeah, what does that have to do with Alex Smith? He's winning. They're going to win the game. The Giants are not going to face the Patriots. Like they're going to beat the Patriots. They're going to play the Patriots. Like it just. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's. I mean, I get it. I understand it. We can go back and forth with it all the time. I mean, to me, it's just more like it's an organization. You got to have players who can uplift the quarterback when he doesn't play well. I mean, Brady, as great as he is, in Green Bay, he had 3 interceptions in the second half, and they still won, and they still found a way to win.
You know what I thought about this? I knew this was going to come up as well, and a name that should have been on this list too is Matt Stafford. I think that he should be on that list. And all of these players,
a horrible franchise.
Yeah, it's been tumultuous drafting or players or free agents or whatever. And it's just a revolving door with all these different players. But I think the frustration that Raider Nation has with Derek Carr, because he's not like, I don't think he's horrible at all in any way. No. He's not. And I think everybody's just looking for that superstar, rock star. And I hate to relate it to basketball, but like an Allen Iverson player that could just take over a game single-handedly, and we're just not going to have it. It's just not there. And I don't see the Raiders moving. I mean, the whole reason you trade is to get better. I mean, obviously we didn't get better with Mac. I'll never understand that, but
they could have.
But at that position, they move forward every year. I mean, the Derek Carr has done what Raider Nation was asking: run the ball more, throw the ball downfield, and he was like 3rd best throwing the ball down 40 or whatever 30 yards plus or something like that.
Aguilar.
And Aguilar and Ruggs, whatnot, and Waller for that matter. But I just
Mahomes,
think that the star power, like they want, the Raider Nation wants a superstar quarterback, and I think Derek Carr is just like borderline all-star.
And I get it. I get it. But I just they need that organization to come through, and the organization is not coming through for Derek, for the defense. I mean, somebody put a tweet out. I gotta find a picture of the defensive ranking since like 92. I mean, like the highest year was 20. Did you see? I think you saw the same tweet. I was like, whoa! Like you can't. So bad. It's impossible to even compete like that, Sean.
Yeah, no, it really is, and that's one of the reasons. Like, no matter where you stand on the Derek Carr debate, he's played quarterback well enough to win more games than he has. He is 47-63. He's far below 500. There's a lot of reasons to that: coaching, a million things, ineptitude of the organization, the franchise, also himself at times as well. But I think at the end of the day, it's just there's just not enough things that you can say at one time to understand what the window is of how this is going to work, because Carr's entering year 8. Okay. Gruden's entering year 4 of a 10-year contract. Carr has 2 years left on his contract. Gruden has 6 years left. So the more they invest in Carr, that's fine. My problem is at some point, if there is a chance, okay, we don't think Watson's going to be a Raider. We don't think Russell Wilson's going to be a Raider. We didn't We thought, hey, Tom Brady, maybe 10% chance last year. That's all fine. But at some point, if you're going to let Carr play out his contract, Gruden will be entering year 7 after Carr's contract's up. Then what is he going to do? Start looking for a quarterback? So at some point, you got to put someone behind him, and that's fine. I could care less. Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson, right? Alex Smith to friggin' Patrick Mahomes. At some point, you build the defense a little bit more, and if things don't layer, you have to be ready to pull the trigger to get a quarterback, because Gruden's window is associated with Carr's window. Carr's 30. In 2 years, his contract can be up. He's going to be 32, 33. Mm-hmm. If he's in year 10, a decade of being a quarterback, and we're still not, we don't have an established playoff win. The defense is, let's say it's a little better in Gus. We're 18th, 17th in the league. At what point does it give, and who does it fall on? Does it fall on Mark Davis? Does it fall on Gruden? Does it fall on Mayock? Does it fall on Carr? I'm not going to point the finger, because I think it's a culmination of all those things.
It is.
But at some point, it'd be nice to see something. And now we saw, like, whatever you think about Mariota, if you can get a second or third round pick for him, you trade him. You trade him. But if you can keep him, he looked like he did okay. Like then we get rid of Mariota, and then we're just gonna be stuck with Carr, and Carr gets hurt, and we have Peterman. Like, at what point is the organization going to be ready to have availability at quarterback for this window to take place? So it's a convoluted argument. I just think at some point something's got to give if things don't work out. I thought it was this year, but the defense was so bad this year. I can't, even though I'm ready to move on from Carr. I'm like, the defense was terrible. We would have won 10, 11 games. So I can't say that.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that, like, because like this is where I know, like, John is like, his head is somewhere, because the only time he won a Super Bowl is when he had a complete team. He had a solid quarterback. He had a fantastic defense. He had Allstott and Pittman at running back. I mean, the team was the team. That's the only time he won a Super Bowl. So this route of like not being able to build up the team, and he's not been a team builder at all. The team was built for him by Mr. Dungy, and like it's just a bottom line. Like you can't escape that fact. Like, you know, no matter what. So that's why I don't understand why it's so hard to just let. And I'm telling you, I know these picks, these early first round picks, are him and not Mayock. I know it is.
Oh yeah.
I know it is. 100%, I know it is. 100%. I know it is.
Like, did Reggie McKenzie trade Khalil Mack? No. Reggie drafted Khalil Mack. There's no way Gruden wanted him out because
the only mistake, and only mistake I see from Reggie was when you draft. I think was it Gabe? Gabe
was
third round.
Gabe was third round. Carr, and they're all the same drafts. Yeah. You can't re-up Gabe Jackson first. You gotta re-up Carr or Mac first. Especially Mac. Yeah, you can't do that. That was ridiculous to do that. Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was just going to go back to your comment about John Gruden and the Super Bowl team that he went to the Super Bowl with. But if I think we forget that he did build the Raiders before that, and we were like, what, the one play, the fumble with Brady. I mean, we could have been going to the Super Bowl, and then the next year that team goes to the Super Bowl. So he did have a little bit to do with that. I think.
And Gannon's success, yeah.
Yeah, so I think you can't fault him there. I mean, obviously that's probably about it. But and as far as blame goes, it starts at the top. Mark Davis picking Gruden. I still stand by the Mayock pick. I like the Mayock pick a lot, or the hire there. I do like that a lot, and you're seeing that with what's his name getting the job now. The other analysis was it Bucky Brooks? Didn't he get a job?
He was attached to the Raiders for quite some time.
And Louis
Riddick.
Yeah,
he got a job.
Yeah, I think he got hired.
I think he's been flirting with jobs. I'm not sure if he officially, but regardless, that's what you're saying. There's media heads that get jobs. Yeah.
And I like it because they do their homework because they have to. It's their job. And, the coach has to do so many. They wear so many hats. But Anyway, it starts at the top, and especially moving to Vegas and having the best stadium in all of the NFL, you've got to put butts in the seats. You've got to nail the draft, and hopefully these draft picks from this last season pan out, because right now it looked really bad.
COVID hurt a lot of industries, and COVID has hurt a lot of people in the pocketbook. People who thought they had money, they had to end up going to their savings and everything like that. So, counting on that stadium to be full. It's and waiting for it to only be the way he wants it, full and with no restrictions. You cannot afford to keep doing that. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry as far as that goes. We have a couple questions from the text line. 718 wants to know who would be the best option at right tackle once Brown leaves. Yeah, scroll through free agency for that if you want to do that. Or you can do it. You can just sign Denzel Good, and see if he can, and see if he's the guy. You want to do that? I'm not sure what they got. I don't think Incognito is going to be. They can't roll Incognito again. You got Achilles issues with a guy who's 37 years old,
something like that. Yeah. No.
So, what were your thoughts about that one?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be somebody they bring in, but Cotton did good, Parker did better. Then Good, and those are your swing guys, and then you're still going to looking for somebody. I always get worried about, as solid as he's been for the years that he's played with us, is Hudson, because if Hudson goes down, that whole O-line goes down. So I hope that there's something brewing there, that they're trying, somebody's behind him. But that scares me. I think Miller's played pretty solid. Gabe Jackson, last season I thought he was done. I thought he'd be let go or traded, but he played pretty well at times. But yeah, the right tackle position, I think that's something that they're gonna probably, I can see them putting Good there, that are sticking with Parker, and then either drafting somebody. John Simpson, he played pretty well towards
at guard.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's a mauler. So I think the depth is there, but I think they're like one or two pieces away from being steady. But I always worry about just losing Hudson, because he plays like he's still 20, and he goes after people. He goes for, he's not shy, and I just don't understand how he's not a perennial Pro Bowler, or whatnot. It's just,
we don't win. That's why
it makes no sense to me.
Enough.
We don't win.
He's like a surefire Hall of Famer as far as how he's played, but I don't know how many looks he'll get, because no big wins in his career. But I think it's the same thing. I think you go after a veteran right tackle, there might be one cut. There might be a team who takes someone in the top end of the first draft, and then they let a good veteran go. What are we scared of? Trent Brown did not play. Our offense was top 10.
Exactly.
Guess what?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Okay, so you go with Brandon Parker, who in the run game is not bad, and then you need pass. So okay, Moreau stays in and chips, or third down you chip his side. Well, guess what? Yeah, you were top 10. What does Carr do? He gets rid of the ball fast. So what? Colton Miller plays well on the left side, so he has another side to look. I'm not worried about that as much as people are. Like, people think we're losing something significant in Trent Brown.
He didn't play.
We're gaining something, because now we have money to go sign 2 or 3 players that can help be a piece of actually getting us wins without the drama and the crazy little tweets and
the greatest underdog.
The greatest underdog. Whatever. So for me, I don't care. They'll figure it out. Cable's been proven right. We all like Cable. What did he do with that offensive line?
He did a good job.
He kept losing players, and he kept producing. So what we need to be able to do is run the ball again. We know that. So I agree with Ken. We may have to do something at guard, but we have some depth guys that should get a shake. And
this draft is full of left tackles, quarterbacks and left tackles. This draft is full of them.
What's wrong with taking a left tackle and putting him at right? Colton's established there. We were going to do that with Colton, right? He was supposed to play right tackle, and Donald Penn was going to play left. Donald Penn gives an injury, and guess what? Colton, sorry, you're going to left. And it took him. He did not have a great rookie year. He had an okay second year. Third year in the NFL, I don't know. He's a top 10, top 12 left tackle in the league. I'm playing great. So, I'm not fearful about that. They'll address it as they need to address it.
One name that I do like, and I know that John Gruden does like, or Cable likes, his Cadillacs, and he wants the big boys. But Brandon Scherf is a free agent that I had my eye on him. I think he only signed a 2-year deal with, I forgot who he was with, but I was hoping that the Raiders would have brought him in, but I think they ended up bringing Incognito in at that time. I can't remember correctly, but Scherf is somebody I've always liked. I think he's solid, and he's still on the younger side for the offensive line position. But I like that idea though of maybe you rotate your players, but I'm not worried about the offensive line and losing Trent Brown. I think that's going to help the team more than anything because he's one of those guys that creates atmospheres. And, it's an Antonio Brown thing. I guarantee he's going to go to Tampa Bay if he's let go. I guarantee it.
Yeah. He'll pay for the league minimum to do that. Next question.
I'd play for the league minimum to do that.
Next question would be, what would it take to get Russ from the Seahawks if he was available?
One of Sean's kids.
So listen. So the only thing I would say is that they have I am not on board with Watson wanting to be dealed because you signed that deal 6 months ago. Sorry, dude. I don't have, my heart doesn't bleed for Watson. But as far as Russ goes, they have, when Tom Cable was there, they legitimately were drafting defensive tackles and trying to give him to Tom Cable to make him in the left tackles. They have always had, when you watch them on film, it's always just run first down, run second down, and then, hey, we'll pass on third down. Russell, just go and run around in circles a little bit, and then make something happen. That's basically their offense, and that's why Schottenheimer is gone now. The son Schottenheimer is not there anymore. The Raiders have a luxury where they could send a quality quarterback back on a more he would do well with Metcalf and Lockett as well. What are your thoughts about that possible? Listen, these are the two guys. Anybody else I think is even. I don't want Wentz. I don't want if you get Watson or get Wilson, you do the trade in your sleep.
I agree. I think Russell is probably the third best quarterback there is right now, maybe phenomenal. Fourth. I'm not sure. And if it were me, and if there was opportunity there, I would trade Carr. I would trade 2 first-round picks in a heartbeat.
Give him to Seattle.
I think that's worth it because not only are you bringing in fans and you're getting something new, but you're getting an MVP Super Bowl winner. And somebody that other players are going to want to play with. And I think he'd love to come to Vegas. Why wouldn't you? But the thing is John Gruden from Pete Carroll. I don't know. That's a big difference there,
But listen,
he's speaking. I would give up a lot more for Russell than for Watson. 100%.
He would be speaking his language though, because the quarterback Gruden is a good play caller. And if you go off schedule, Russell can make something happen too. So, Sean, go ahead.
That's what I think. When I look at when I look at Gruden's offense, that's when I think how many first downs Gannon brought to light because he just tucked it and slid. And he had an athletic background, Gannon. He was brought in to potentially play defensive back in the NFL and journeyman quarterback and made his career. But Russell Wilson's ability when nothing's there. How spoiled would he be in this offense of Gruden's? You're always going to have a high completion percentage read. That's what his West Coast hybrid offense is based on. You have a high percentage read. You have 3 plays pre-snap. Carr is very good at finding those. What Carr is not good at is all your first and second options clamped up, and there's 20 yards of space in front of you, and somehow you sacked or you throw it out of bounds. Russell's going to eat that up all day. So I can't believe it, man. I seen that and I was like, there's no way. Russell is probably my favorite quarterback to watch in the NFL over the last few years. I just love the way he plays. He's innovative. Everything's always stacked against him. They draft terribly in Seattle. They have drafted terrible, terrible players in Seattle. They've ended up with some good players as well with Bobby Wagner and with DK Metcalf. And, you can piece that all together. But Wilson in Las Vegas with his wife Sierra. We got the king and queen of Las Vegas. They land down in there. Is it gonna happen? Okay, if this is the only way I see that happening is if Pete Carroll wants to retire. If Pete Carroll's done, is Pete Carroll really gonna lose Russell Wilson? He's not that dumb.
You want to be the GM who trades Russell Wilson and John Schneider?
Exactly. and he's 32. He's 32. Carr's 30. So some people are like, well, Wilson's a little older. Again, Gruden's got 6 years left. Wilson has 3-4 more years of prime. There's your Super Bowl window. You're right there. All of a sudden, as good as Herbert looked, as good as Mahomes is, you bring Russell Wilson into the AFC West, I'm not scared of anybody. The defense can take 2 years to get better. Just get a little bit better. Like, it's exciting, but it's not going to happen. So.
No. I mean, I just don't see. Like, I really think Houston saying no. You just signed it 6 months ago. We're not doing it. Period. I think the thing with Russell is just like he really does want out. And I think part of it is we all familiar with the term "happy wife, happy life." We're familiar with that term, right?
Yes,
So in that sense, I don't think the Pacific Northwest is where Sierra wants to be. So I think that she wants to be East Coast or somewhere where something's happening. That's why I think
Vegas, baby.
I know. Derek, I still love you. Derek, I still love you. But if Russell's available, I gotta do it.
It's all about getting better. It's all about.
Oh yeah. You got no question about it.
Can't you just see? You're watching this season. Close your eyes for a minute and envision the Allegiant Stadium, maybe close to fully packed. You hear the roar, the torch comes on. You see a beautiful glass suite down there, and you see Sierra in a nice dress with a slit up the side, and she's out there with her martini in her hand, and they're showing Russell Wilson warming up with his number 3 jersey on. Sorry, Peterman. I just that has an appeal to it. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. But, if somebody wants to take over that city, that couple is taking over the city.
No question about it.
If there's opportunity, you have to go for it. Any team.
You would have to. I mean, you'd have to. Even so, certain folks who love Derek would have to do that. I have to do that. The Al Davis documentary. Did you guys get a chance to watch it? I was not. I was not a fan of the claymation Pete Rozelle and Mr. Davis. I thought that was just weird. Like I did not think that was necessary. It was just ridiculous in my mind. I think there was enough footage of those two where it did what that wasn't needed, but I don't know what you guys thought about it. It looked kind of crazy.
I zapped it on the DVR and I got turned off. I was excited to watch it, and then I just saw so many. Raider Nation's very opinionated. And we all kind of follow the same goons. I just kind of got turned off, and I'll watch it eventually. But I read the books. If you go read the Al Davis book, that is phenomenal. That's kind of I'll leave it at that because it does go into some of the NFL talk and whatnot and who he was as a person. I don't know. I'll get to it, but I heard a lot of bad things about it, unfortunately.
There's some cool stories in there, but I mean, like I said, I'm glad I watched it. But like the part where they were in Vegas Stadium and doing all that, it was weird. Sean, did you watch it?
I got some of it in the beginning. I've seen so many of these things.
Yeah.
Like when you're a Raiders fan, like you've dipped into these, historical pieces so often. It's just each one's a different lens a little bit.
Because the only time we were good.
Right, and that's actually like the hair goes up on their neck a little bit. Like you just see these people talking like, "Oh, people were fearsome of us. Like
they're scared to play us.
Like we had Hall of Famers littered on the field on both sides of the ball.
Exactly.
Coaches that were competent. It is what it is. But yeah, I didn't get through the whole thing. But I like the beginning part. But I think it's setting itself up like a lot of them are. It's a good glimpse into what the bones of this organization were. Yeah. Hopefully we get back there, right?
I would say one thing, a couple notes I had on it was like it seems like there's some like little bit of a conspiracy, like dirty play always involved when it comes to the Raiders. Cause like with immaculate reception, I wasn't aware that the officials went on the phone call. And I'm like, whoa, there's no instant, but why are they even talking to anybody? So like that seems really fishy. And I do remember Greg Beekert after after Brady fumbled, he said somebody asked him. They said, "What's taking so long? It's a fumble." One of his teammates. He said, "Because they're figuring out a way to fuck us." And I was and I remember Beaker saying that. And I'll never forget Greg Beaker saying that. So that was kind of that was cool. That was cool as well. And it also reminded me of like the whole dysfunction started from that moment, because he was horrible after that last Super Bowl. I mean, that 83, he missed out on the 83 draft. He missed out on Marino. Took Mosbar over Marino. Was trying to trade for, to pick Elway. Messed that trade up. So it was kind of some bad memories a part of it too as well. So that's about it as far as that one goes. Juju. Maybe coming to. I think it's more. I think it's more of his agent. I don't think because he doesn't. I mean, a big slot when you have Renfro, like, what's the point? What would be the point? Like, it don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, I think you invest in Brian Edwards. We saw what he can do.
Yeah,
glimpses. You got Waller, you got Renfro still, and of course you got to get Ruggs going. That's a big investment there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Nelly walks, then I think they do kind of look for that kind of semi-star receiver. We spoke about it last week with just the social media, and I want guys that are just kind of focused on the game and want to play, like Julio Jones. You don't see him acting the fool a lot, and he goes out there and he competes, I heard even T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's a name out there, but he's he's not a big bodied receiver or anything, but he's a number one wide receiver. He comes on the team, so. I kind of stay away from that. I do like Juju. Don't get me wrong. I like his play, but let's stay away from those Pittsburgh guys.
Yeah, we're already 0-2, 0-2 count right now with those guys, Sean.
Yeah, no. Juju, big no. A lot of the wide receiver names being thrown on the Raiders. I don't know, man. D-line. I mean, we can't sit here and continue to do the same thing. We need to build a defense before we can have a bigger discussion. We're top 10 offense. With Aguilar and we're top 12 offense, you can still win 10 games with that. So I think for me, it's about saving the money, the resources, build the defense a little bit, add a couple nice players if you can. But I just don't get it. Like, how are we still talking about getting a wide receiver one? We just drafted the number one wide receiver in the whole draft.
And you got Waller. You got Waller. Waller's a hybrid. Yeah,
you have Renfro. You have Brian Edwards. You have why are we still? We traded tried to trade for AB. We did a third rounder for Martavis Bryant. We traded away Amari Cooper. Like, how many things? Gruden keeps saying, "I want the best wide receiver group in the NFL." You don't even have a consistent group. Like, just make something work with what you have. I don't know, man. It's frustrating.
And don't forget, with the third round pick that the Raiders gave the Steelers, they took Deontay Johnson with that pick. So they got rid of the headache of it's painful. It's so painful. It's so painful. Let's see, real quick. I did have a situation where I was like, kind of gets me annoyed a little bit. I wanted to talk about it. What you guys think about it? And I don't want to direct to write to certain people, but there are some people in the media who, like, if you get mad and you're a Raider fan, like, all of a sudden you don't know what you're talking about or something like that. They're they're so like, I'm probably more positive than most people, but like I am. Shake my hand. You can shake. I am. But like, if you got to understand, people like switch shifts to watch the Raiders. People spend a lot of money on the DirecTV package. Like, we're not. This isn't the Jaguars. This isn't like one of these little teams that nobody cares about. Like, people, like, the reason why what's his name? Colin Cowherd makes little jabs at the Raiders all the time because he knows it's gonna be clicks. He knows we're gonna react to it. Like, he knows that. He doesn't believe half of what he's talking about, but he's about securing the bag and making sure that money still comes in. So like, I don't want to. I mean, like, we had Hondo on. Like, I know Hondo said stuff about, like, if you're not a Raider fan, if you don't cheer for Derek Carr, stuff like that. Like, we'll go back. I mean, like, like Cody said some things about something. I'm like, to me, it's just like, listen, like people you can't tell people. Half the problem in this world is people being told what to do all the time, and that's folks drive folks crazy. Like, if people want to express themselves about their frustration with their favorite sports team and they use Twitter for it, I'm in for that. You know, when it comes to like, you know, hey, so and so is, you know, and if it's like something like homophobic or something stupid like that, then I'll ignore it. But like, I understand the frustration. I've lived it my whole life. They've never been good my whole life. They were good for a 3-year span with Rich Gannon, and that was only acceptable football I've ever seen. So, you know, but if you're not gonna take that negative and like understand it, then like I don't know what you want this fan base to do, because they're supremely frustrated and they have a right to be.
Yeah, I think that's part of what we all go through as podcasters, as fans, as just the connection through the vibe of everything is, unfortunately, like you said, there's people that fly to London to watch a game in Europe and spend 6, 7, 8 grand to support these colors and jerseys and players. And it's an investment, not just fandom wise, emotional wise, you know, money and resources. And so, yeah, it's tough. I just think at some point, results matter to people in life, whether it's a relationship at home, whether it's a job you show up to every day, whether it's the Raiders that you watch every Sunday. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I you know, it's funny because my wife just walked by, but you know, there's something during the off season, you know, the 9 months or whatever, where we're not talking about football, but when Raider football starts from preseason, or I'll even say draft preseason, it's all about the Raiders for me, and I base my work schedule off of it, my job, so everything knows. You guys know how much money I spend on jerseys. I don't buy the Chinese
exactly.
Yeah, free agency's coming. You better be ready, kid.
I'm thinking I want to go to Cleveland for the draft. You know, I spend money because I'm blessed that I have a good job where I can afford it. And I have a great wife that lets me do this shit, you know. And she takes the kids. She asks me, "What's the Raiders schedule?" Okay, I'll take the kids. You can watch. Hey, are you barbecuing? Let's do this. And and I'm not the only one. And you know, you look at other fans, like their fandom, and it's just part of your life. Just like, you know, waking up and eating your breakfast or whatever it is that you do. It's Raiders is part of our life. And you know, all three of us, we are on different time zones. And we make this podcast work.
We make it work
because we love our team, and I'm in it. You know, I agree with you, Dwayne. Like, when's the last time we saw the Raiders good? You know, we get different glimpses here and there. We don't agree with a lot of the moves they make. We may know better than they do. I don't know, but I don't care. I'm going to support whoever's on the team. I don't ever get caught up in these Twitter beefs. But one thing about Twitter is you got to be careful. It's like a condo association. If somebody's like, it doesn't like you, then the whole, they all don't like you.
It's like a condo association.
And you will be out. You will be outed, and you will have to walk the trials, the tribulations there. And I don't get caught up in it anymore. I don't want to. I like talking football with you two. And my guys from the East Coast Nation, and that's my circle of really close. And Bourbon Raider, we talk a lot, but
it's a great guy.
Yeah, I just be careful with who you talk about it to, because those opinions could get twisted. We put our opinions out to the world, and if you guys got a problem with anything that we say, bottom line is we love our team and we love talking Raider football.
Yeah.
We know nothing. We claim nothing.
I'm just trying to, I just, you know, like I said, I understand the frustration, and I understand the person who wants to be positive, but they can coexist. They can coexist, and
that's a good way to put it.
That's a good way to put it.
They can coexist. The problem now is nobody wants to coexist as far as that goes. So free agency's around the corner. We know what we need. If you watch the Super, I don't want to hear about any skill positions right now, because if you watch the Super Bowl, they won that game because of you know, I know Brady did his thing, no question about it, but the Bucs won because of the D-line, and then they won the game again because of the D-line. in the last part, they would win a game because of the D line. So so you need to get pressure on the quarterback. It makes, I mean, they have two baby corners out there in Bunting and Davis who some games don't even get tested because they're able to, they're able to hang back there, Sean. Like, I mean, they're able to like be aggressive and get turnovers. So you gotta be able to do that. And I think that the Tyrell Williams move is, you might see Joyner next. If he decides if he decides Joyner can't play, like they're gonna Joyner and Trent Brown would free up a lot of space. You go out there and grab. I mean, you tell Denzel Good, hey, you want to start right tackle in National Football League? This is your contract as far as that goes. So it's your opportunity to go do that. And just handle that. I mean, to me, that's the best way to go about this offseason.
Yeah, it's a tough. It's the free agency phase starts first, and Gus Bradley's got whatever resources he has to try to put his fingerprints on the defense. Maybe he thinks he can fix some things already in place, but he's gonna have to for sure bring in 2 or 3 guys that are gonna fight, if not be starters. Hard part is how much do you tweak the offense without sacrificing it to drop back down? I think we're all pretty confident that Gruden's been a great offensive coordinator, just not a good head coach or decision maker. And transaction wise, I think if Gruden was a offensive coordinator on any other team, he'd be great. But just like maybe Hugh Jackson, right? Good offensive coordinator, but some guys just melt when they have everything else at their fingertips. So unfortunately, we'll see. But I think the first things first is to decide you cut the fat, literally and figuratively, for Trent Brown, cut the fat. And then you go down your roster and you start to realize what you can part ways with. They did that with Tyrell. They're going to do it with Trent. They probably should do it with Joyner. Maybe there's something there for him. He's still too much coin for what he does on the field, no matter how good everything else is. But it's exciting. Here we go again.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I just want to, close with this message. I agree with what you said, John. I love the take on Hugh Jackson and Gruden being offensive coordinators, because you're right. They're offensive gurus, but they can't manage a whole team. And we saw that, with him not pulling the trigger on Gunther when he should have done that at the beginning of the season, in my opinion. But why did we all see that and nobody, he didn't? Anyway, whatever. My thing is this. Do not, when it comes to free agency and when it comes to the draft, and you get all these media heads that talk, and they have no idea what the Raiders are going to do. And we saw that firsthand the last couple of years. We have no idea. I mean, there are names that you like. Do not get married. Don't get married to a name. Don't get your heart set on a name.
Just look at the local guys like Vic and like Vinny. They know who the Raiders are talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it.
Stick with your local guys. Don't watch ESPN because they have no clue what they're talking about.
Yeah. I would say a couple of things about the offseason. We were laughing about some of the rap songs that these guys come out with in the offseason is pretty funny. But I would say one guy who I see, and listen, they may all work out, but I'm just going by what his Instagram post is, and that's Amik Robinson is really putting in. He's working.
Oh yeah.
I kind of like he's letting you know that he's trying, and he got drafted for a slot when he was an outside receiver in college the whole time. So that's a big difference. That's a huge difference. But outside corner. So I'm anxious to see how he comes back, because he's like, you see him every Arden Keys in Jamaica right now. I mean, that's my island. I appreciate that. He's having a good time. That's fine. I appreciate he's on Montego Bay. I mean, that's fine. It's a great place, but at the end of the day, I mean, we'll see what happens, and we'll hit you guys up next week. Listen, keep those text
and comments,
comments, DMs, all that good stuff. Working on some good guests for next week, so we'll see you next time. Any guys has anything you want to end the show with?
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, stay positive, guys. No fighting out there. Be nice. Be nice to each other. Support each other. Love each other.
Yes. Be nice for your nation. See you next time.
Peace.
All right. Peace.